Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. My name is Nur Fatin Izzati and my cheat number S519730. The purpose of my group making this video is to explain about the laytime calculation that we learned in the subject of broker and charter by our lecturer Encik Rizal. So my friend and I will explain step by step to make a laytime calculation. First thing first, I will explain the term that will be used throughout the laytime calculation. First term is laytime. Laytime is a time allowed by the ship owner to the charterer or shipper in which to load or discharge the cargo. Second tip is demurrage. The demurrage rate is the compensation owner are entitled to when loading or discharging is not completed before the allowed time expires. Third is dispatch. Dispatch is the reverse of demurrage. It is payment by the owner of compensation to the charterer for loading or discharging a shorter amount of time than the allowed laytime. Fourth is exception of laytime. The exception of laytime will be when the weather working days, Sunday, and holidays accepted and strikes, which breakdown or etc. And the last one is commencement of laytime. The laytime clause in the charter party will state the notice period after the valid notice of readiness is given. In the next slide, my friend Jasilan will explain about the timesheet. Thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Nitheshan Ravichandran. My metric number is S50545. Today we're going to see about the laytime calculation. Yes, laytime calculation. We received a question about a laytime calculation from our professor Dr. Encik Rizal. So we already solved the question and we did a slide presentation about the laytime calculation and the solution of that question. Now we're going to see about that slide. Before this slide, my friend Fatini already explained about the laytime calculation, the general terms used in the laytime calculation, and she already gave the definition for that terms. I hope you guys understood that. Before we see this, I need to give that how to solve a laytime calculation question. Before that, the laytime calculation, it's not a normal question. We cannot just answer that question. Laytime questions was you need to understand that question first. You need to interpret the data from that question. So as I said, I already interpreted the data, I and my team. So we interpreted the data, we took it out the information from that question, what the question asks, what the question seeks, and we already listed the demands that question asked us. So for the first point, the late time to commence at 13 hours if notice is given before noon, at 7 hours next working day if given after noon, notice to be given in ordinary working hours. The next point is cargo to be loaded at the rate of 5,000 metric tons per weather working day of 24 consecutive hours. The third point is laycan is from the 3rd until the 10th March. Basically, the laycan was the duration to give to the specific vessel to complete their cargo operation. So the vessel need to arrive to the port between this time duration. And the next point is time from 17 hours Friday or the day preceding a holiday to 8 hours Monday or next working day not to count unless used, but half of actual time used to count unless vessel already on demurrage. The next point is the port loaded the vessel 24 hours per day. And the next point is demurrage rate $5,000 per day pro rata, demurrage half dispatch on laytime shift. As you can see, we already interpreted the data from that question asked. So now I'm going to explain about the timetable, time sheet. Here it is, the time sheet of this. We interpreted and extract the information and displayed in a time sheet for this question. As you guys see it, the first day, the 3rd March. On the 3rd March, the 15 hours, the vessel arrived Buenos Aires roads. On that same day, at the 17 hours, NOR tendered. And the next day, 4th March, the loading was commenced from 7 hours until 10 hours. The loading was stopped because of the rain. The rain was continued for until 16 hours. So the next day, 5 March, the loading was stopped from the time 001 hours until the end of the day 23 hours 59 minutes because of the inability to unload due to lack of cargo availability from local shipper. The next day, 6 March, at the time of 7 hours, the loading was continued, but the loading was halted because of the rain happened on time of 8 hours until the time 11 hours. On the day at the time of 17 hours, the loading was stopped. At the next day's 8 March, the loading was resumed at the time of 7 hours and it was continued and stopped at 17 hours. At the next day, 9 March, the rain was happened at time of 9 hours until the time of 12 hours. After that, on the day, the rain was again happened at the time of 13 hours and it lasted for time of 17 hours on that day. And the next day, 10 March, the loading is resumed at the time of 8 hours and it was successfully completed at the time of 12 hours. On that day, 10 March, the vessel sailed at the time of 19 hours. As you can see, this is the timesheet of the question we answered. I hope you guys understood this. Thank you so much.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Adnan. So today I want to explain about how to calculate the laytime calculation. In the question, it is stated that on 3rd of March, the ship arrived at the Buenos Aires roads and the laytime is still not count. And on the next day, on 4th of March, the loading start to commence at 0700 hours until 10:00 hours because after that the rain started. So that's mean 3 hours before the rain start, the laytime start to come, and after 6 hours of rain, the loading continue until the next day. And on the next day, it stated that the port is lack of cargo. So that's mean it's not the ship's owner's fault, but the authority of the port fault. And that's mean the laytime is still counted. So on the 6th of March, the loading continue one full day because there's no rain. There's no rain on that day. And on the 7th of March, the loading continue until 8 a.m. After that, the rain started, and after 2 hours of rain, the loading continue until 5 hours, until 1700 hours, and the time to count is 6 hours. So after 5 hours on Friday, after 1700 hours on Friday, the loading continue, but the time to count is only half over the loading time. It means that the loading is 7 hours total, but we only count that as half. That means 3.5 hours because the next day is weekends, and on the weekend, on 8 March, there's no rain, and the loading still continue 1 hour, but still it is weekend and we count it as a half day, so 12 hours. So on 9 March, the loading still continue, and the rain started at 0900 hours until 12 hours. So it is still weekend and we count it as half of the total time. And after that, the loading continue and we count as half. And also the rain started to pour again, until 1700 hours, and the loading still continue until the midnight. So on the next day, the loading continue until 0800 hours, and before 0800 hours we count it as a half time, half of the total time, because it is not start, it is the weekend not over yet. And after 0800 hours, the loading continue and complete at 12 hours, and after 0800 hours we can see the total time is 4 hours, because the weekend is already over and we count it as a full time. So after we get the time to count, we can calculate the lay time by adding all the time, and after that we get 105 hours. And to calculate the demurrage or dispatch, we can calculate by lay time calculated minus lay time allowed, and the lay time allowed is 96 hours. So the lay time calculated is 105 hours. This means that it will get the demurrage, and the demurrage is 9 hours. And how to calculate the demurrage and how to calculate the demurrage is ayat we explain in the next video. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Yadi Shazam bin Jamaluddin. Matric number S51768. For my slide, I will tell about the calculation to determine demurrage or dispatch. To do that, we must have laytime allowed. Laytime allowed is total cargo quantity carried divided by total loading rate per day, which is 20,000 metric ton divided by 5,000 metric ton. So we got laytime allowed is 4 days or 96 hours. If the laytime used by the charterer beyond laytime allowed, the charterer needs to pay for demurrage. But if used below than laytime allowed, the charterer will be rewarded dispatch cost. Next, we must have laytime use. Laytime use we got from my other group members from the previous slide, which is 105 hours. So total laytime use 105 hours minus laytime allowed 96 hours. So we got 9 hours exceed on demurrage, which is 0.375 days. Total laytime use is 4 days 9 hours. Allowed laytime is 4 days. Therefore, there are 9 hours exceed on demurrage. Next, we calculate demurrage in USD. 0.375 days multiplied by USD 5,000, which demurrage at USD 5,000 per day. So we got demurrage USD 1,875. So the charterer need to pay USD 1,875 to the ship owner. That's all from me. Thank you.